Hey guys, welcome back to Matthew's Ballistics Mad Science Division here today. Because we're gonna, or at least I'm going to attempt to take a 454 Casull out to 1,000 yards. Yeah, anyways, so I've been trying to figure this out because with the limited adjustment range on my scope on this rifle, my range is limited to about 550 yards. So, and then it runs out of adjustment. Alright, so I contacted Tally Manufacturing to see if they would build me a 30 MOA base for this rifle, and which really wouldn't get me to 1,000 yards. It'd get me almost there, give me about 825 yards or so. But it'd be close enough that I could lob it into 1,000. But when I asked them if they could do it or if they would do it, they said that they couldn't. So my next option would be to try to have a machine shop build one. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole on trying to figure out how much of a shim I would need to make the base have about 40 or 45 MOA. So, after reading through about 4 or 5 forums and then getting down, I stumbled across one on the second or third page where a guy conveniently, like in 2003 or something, posted the actual formula that you need to be able to find a shim thickness based on the length of a one-piece scope base. So, here's how it goes. This is what you need right here. This is your equation. So it starts off with your 100 yards. There's 36 inches in a yard, so 3,600 inches. And then you divide that by the length of the base in inches. So what I'm talking about is this part right here, the base that goes on the rifle. So divide it by that. And then you just kind of guesstimate shim thickness and kind of play with it. And then it comes out to your inches and elevations. And then you can divide that by 1.047. And you can get the actual MOA of rise that you're going to get based on how thick your shim is. So, I measured my length of my scope base last night. And it measures 5.310 inches. End to end. That's not actually where the mounting, where the screws go through and mount into the barrel and the receiver, but that is from one end of the scope base to the other. So then I played with different shim thicknesses and come up with some calculations here for how far it'll actually shoot. So before I get too far into this, I'm going to talk a little bit about shim material. Now, I was looking online at actually ordering some custom made just sheets of metal to a specific thickness. I was thinking having them cut to 0.02 inches thick and just have the right size cut for my purpose. And then I got to thinking, well, I wonder what the thickness of an aluminum can is. So I cut open an aluminum can and cut a piece out and measured it. And it come out to 0.045 inches, roughly. Just a hair over 0.045. So, with that, I can start playing with some different calculations. So, test fitted 6 shims on there, which basically gives me 0.027 inches of shim thickness, which calculates out to 18.31 inches roughly of rise, which ends up being almost 17.5 MOA. So, and then I can add the 25 MOA of play that I have with the scope, and that will basically get me the 42.5 MOA, and based on the bullet that I'm running with the muzzle velocity and the ballistic coefficient at 42.8 MOA, we can roughly get it to a little over 750 yards. Okay, so not bad. So then I just played with it some more and figured out what it would take to get it just to 1,000 yards. And I'm going to need 43.7 MOA plus 25 MOA of a play. So a total of 68.7 MOA will get me to 1,000 yards, which is what you can see here. It'll get me a little over 1,000 yards actually. So now that I've got this 43 MOA base, I can subtract 25 MOA from that, and that will basically bottom the scope back out to give me the minimum yardage on it, because it, you know, it's got a total of 50 MOA to play with. So with the scope bottomed out, that it's still going to be shooting 18.7 MOA, or roughly 20 inches high at 100 yards. And the actual zero is going to be about 450 yards. So that's an insanely long zero, you know, far zero for any rifle. But yeah, I'm just going to have to know that this thing is going to shoot 20 inches high at 100 yards. I haven't tested all this yet. So I'm going to have to do some testing. First, I'm going to test it at 6 shims and just see and try to confirm how much and make sure that this is accurate. It may not be accurate, but we're going to have to figure out if it is or not. And then, you know, adjust from there. But by my calculations, I'm going to need 15 pieces of that aluminum can sandwiched together under the rear of that one-piece scope mount to get me to 1,000 yards. So I just thought I would take you guys down that little bit of a rabbit hole today while I'm on my lunch break. I'm going to be doing some more testing, hopefully this weekend on this, and also hopefully testing a theory that I've got figured out what's wrong with the 338 Lapua. I've got a pretty good theory, and I'm going to test it this weekend as well, and there'll be more on that. But yeah, getting the 454 Casull out to 1,000 yards, 68.7 MOA is what it's going to take. Which means that my bullet drop at 1,000 yards is about 705 inches. On the other hand, it's still going to be carrying 660 foot-pounds of energy, which is roughly like a 357 at point blank range. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. It's been Matthew's Ballistics.